Thank you very much for welcoming to Medstone African Motives. Today we are going to talk about personal training and five and human resource management as a course. So we are still under the preparation for test one that is coming very soon. So it's very important that we are going to revise these questions together as to prepare for you for the upcoming test. Because it is also very important when you are going to sit for your final exams in November. So make sure that we are going to be together from the start of this presentation to the end. And make sure that you're going to share with others and make sure that you're going to hit the subscription button. So without wasting much time, let us attend to the questions that we are to answer. So the first question here, it says, the formal sector is known as a recorded sector and the informal sector is unrecorded sector. Information of people in this sector is not on record. So the formal sector is a recorded sector because the information of the businesses that fall under the record under formal sectors, their information is known to the authorities. The name of the business, the number of employees that are employed, the remuneration when you're talking about their payments is known to the authorities. But with informal sector, their information is unrecorded sector. It's unrecorded sector because their information is known to the authorities, meaning to say they are operating underground. They don't pay tax. So they are not legal. So their business is illegally. That is the unrecorded sector. That is why the information of people in this sector is not on record. That's what it means. So the question says, describe 6 characteristics of what? Of the informal sector. Very important. So now let's quickly go to our answer book and then try to answer that question. So we are asked to, that is 1.1, we are asked to give the characteristics of the informal sector. We are asked to give characteristics of the informal sector. That is that. So we can talk about the capital under informal sector. Initial capital is very low. It's very low under this sector. So for you to establish business or to run business under this sector, you don't need a large amount of capital to start. So because the business that fall under this sector, they are very small. So it is easy to start such a business because we are talking about a business like those ones of people who are on the street, who are selling zimbas, sweets, like that. So for you to start such a business, it's very cheap to start such a business because the capital is very low. So that is that because we are asked to give what? 6 characteristics. Also, it is not labor intensive, not labor intensive. Not labor intensive. This sector does not require you to hire laborers. So it means the owner can run the business on her own. So that is what we are saying, it's not labor intensive. She can run the business on her own. Friends or relatives can assist in his or her absence. So also, we are saying this sector does not follow regulations. This sector does not follow regulations as laid down by legislation. Does not follow regulations laid does not follow regulations as laid down by legislation. So it means this sector does not follow regulations as laid down by legislation. As we have said that they are operating illegally. They don't pay tax. So it means that they don't follow what? The legislation. That is that. Now moving to another point. Under this This sector does not produce a great variety of goods, does not produce a great variety of goods, does not produce a great variety of goods or services. So you'll find that they are not with much variety when it comes to the goods and services that they are selling. So that is that. Now we are moving on to another point. Also, this sector is not bound to an office, not bound to an office, not bound to physical office, not bound to physical office. You'll find that people who fall under the six sectors, they are moving around just because they want to be close to their customers. So they are not bound to a physical office. So they are moving around to reach to their customers. So that is that. That's what it means. Now we are moving on to another point. Goods or services are not exported in this sector. So we are saying goods or services are not exported. They are not exported or even sold beyond immediate area. So those are Zimbas, they are Swiss, so we can't export such. So now let's move on to question 1.2. Let's quickly come to question 1.2 and see what it wants. So 1.2, it says define the following: unskilled labor productivity, ability, private sector labor force. That's what it wants. So let's start by one, unskilled labor. So that is 1.21. Unskilled labor. So unskilled labor refers to many persons. It refers to many persons who find themselves uh, who find themselves without necessary skills to do the job available, to do jobs which are available, to do jobs which are available. You're talking about the blue collar people who are unskilled. So that is that. Now we are moving on to question 1.22. 1.22. So 1.22 is labor productivity. 1.22, we're talking about labor productivity. So we're talking about labor productivity. So with labor productivity, we are talking about it is a measure of how well resources. It's a measure of how well resources, how well resources, how well resources in the output stage, at the input stage, at the input stage, at the input stage are combined. are combined and used in order to reach the needed results. In order to reach what? Needed results. So what we are talking about here, we are talking about the ratio of output. We're talking about the ratio of output to input. That is that. Because we want to know how well resources at input stage are combined as well as used in order to reach needed results. So that is that. Now we are moving on to 1.23. 1.23. So the 1.23 talks about ABET. Now it talks about the ABET. So with ABET, we are talking about, refers to education and training. Refers to education and training. Refers to education and training that the enterprise organizes. That the enterprises organizes for their employees. For their employees to develop competency. To develop competency. So that it means. So that is a training program that the employers come up with in order to develop their employees to become competent enough to deliver at workplace so that they will be able to reach the goals of the business. So now we are moving on to 1.24. 1.24 talks about private sector. Talks about private sector. Private sector. So with private sector, we mean that this is a sector within the economy. This is a sector. This is a sector within the economy. Within the economy. Which operate on the private initiatives. Which operate on the economy. Which operate on private initiative, private initiative, private initiative. So we're talking about the private sector. So this is a sector within the economy which operate on private initiative, like they are profit-oriented organizations. Their bottom line is to make profit. So now we come to 1.25. So 1.25, we are talking about what? Labor force. So the labor force, we are talking about economically active people. Economically active people. Economically active people. So those are the people who are without jobs, but who are with necessary skill to do the job, who are not too young or too old, who can at any given time can be able to work. So that is the labor force. It is made up of such people. So now we are moving on to 1.3. We are moving on to 1.3. So 1.3, let's see what 1.3 wants from us. So 1.3, it reads as follows. A training practitioner has a various tasks to fulfill, but briefly, I describe the following rules of what? Of training practitioner. So they first start by program designer. First start by program designer. So that is 1.31. Program, that is program designer. So program designer is what you call, it is what a subject expert. We are talking about a subject expect. We're talking about a subject expect. A subject expect who will use the identified training needs to design a training program. So is a subject expect who will use the identified 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 needs, who will use the identified training needs. Identified training needs to design a training program. To design training programs. To design the training programs to address the needs. To address the needs. So that is that when I'm talking about the program design, I'm talking about someone who is very, very expert in a certain subject, who is going to use the identified training needs where these employees lack, so that with those needs that he identified, then that particular person will be able to design a training programs. He will come with a training program that is going to attend to the needs of those employees, that is going to respond positively to the needs of those employees. So that is that he's going to be able to attend to the gap that he or she identified. So that is that. We're talking about the program design. So now let us go to 1.32. 1.32 and see what it wants. So it wants the evaluator. Want the evaluator. So evaluator, now we are talking about a person who assesses what? Who assesses the needs? Who assesses training needs? Who assesses training needs? As well as assessment instruments. Assesses training needs, assessment instruments, assessment instruments, assessment instruments which determine training needs. Which determine training needs. Which determine training needs. Which determine training needs. So those assessment instruments which test. So those assessment instruments, they are going to do what? They are going to test the skills, knowledge, and attitudes, and then as well as evaluate the effectiveness of the training. So that is what it means. So now let us move on to 1.33. 1.33. So with 1.33, now let us go to a question. What 1.33 needs? So here we're going to talk about the needs analyst. Needs analyst. We are going to talk about needs analyst. We're talking about the needs analyst. So the needs analyst identify and investigate training needs. Identify and investigate training needs. Investigate training needs. Identify and investigate training needs where a problem is evident. Where a problem is evident. Where a problem is evident, or where competence gap in skill. Where competence gap in skills, knowledge, and attitudes in creating a problem, to design a program to make employees competent. So that is that when you're talking about what? A needs analyst. A needs analyst identify, investigate training needs where a problem is evident. So he or she is going to do that, or where competence gap in skills and knowledge and attitudes is creating a problem. Where knowledge, attitudes, skills is creating a problem, then he design a program to make employees competent. That is a needs analyst. All he wants, she's looking for, a needs analyst, he's looking for where there is a problem. He's investigating where there is a problem, where there is a gap. And then design a program to make employees competent. Where do these employees lag? And then he bridge that gap. Where there is a gap, then he's going to bridge the gap. He first tries to find out where there is a gap, and then, in short, he bridges the gap with what? With a training programs that is going to make the employees to be competent. So the needs analyst find out where there is a problem and then attends to the problem. That is in short what it says. Now we come to 1.34. 1.34. Now we want what? The administrator of training program. 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 So with this one, he ensures that training takes place as planned. Ensures training takes place as planned. Ensures training takes place as planned. Takes place as planned. Ensures training takes place as planned in line with budget. in line with budget. So that is a administrator of training. What the role that he or she play is to make sure that the training is going to take place as planned. So the training, the objectives of the training is going to make sure that the objectives of training are going to be reached. But as he's doing that, he's supposed to make sure that he's going to do that in line with what? With the budget of the enterprise. And also according to the training objectives like they've said. Now let me move on to another question. Now we are moving on to another question. 1.35, change agent. 1.35, change agent. So with change agent, the change agent assists the development of change programs. He or she assists in the development of change programs, of change programs, in the enterprise. In the enterprise. In the enterprise and acceptance by employees. And acceptance by employees. And acceptance by employees. Establishing work groups to improve the functioning of teams and groups in the departments. Now we are moving on to 1.36. 1.36. It talks about career development advisor. Career development advisor. Career development advisor. Career development advisor. So this one, we are saying helps individual to assess their personal competences. Help individual to assess their personal competences. Values, goals, so that career plans can be identified. So that career plans can be identified. Planned, and implement. So that is that when we're talking about the career development advisor. It's going to make sure that people are going to be able to realize their dreams. So yes, it's going to allow people to assess their strengths, their talents, where they can be good, so as to make sure that they will be able to reach to their full potential. So it helps individuals to assess their personal competence so that career plans can be identified. Their career can be identified, planned, as well as be able to be implemented. So that is 1.3. Now we have to move on to 1.4. Now we have to move to 1.4. So 1.4, let's see what it was. So 1.4, it says, differentiate between adult learners as well as children. Enumerate these 5 differences in the characteristics by using this table in your answer book. So we have 1.41, 1.42 for adults, 1.43, 1.44, 1.55 for adults. For children, that is 1.46, 1.47, 1.49, 1.410. So we can now for 1.4 use this table that is already given and then try to differentiate between children as well as adults. So let's first start by adults. Adults are self-directing. They are self-directing. Meaning to say adults, they don't wait to be told what to do. So they themselves, because they are adults, they can push themselves to do the work. That is adults. That's when we are talking about adults. Adults expect to be able to answer of questions from own experience. So they always want to answer questions from own experience. They want to answer questions from own experience. So because they are with experience, so them they always want to answer questions and they always refer to their experience. You find those are the people who are from the field. So questions, they answer them through their experience. They refer them to the experience that they already have. That's adult. Also, adults do not want to be told what to do, like we have said. Do not want to be told what to do. So they don't want to be told what to do. They can push themselves, like you've said. They don't wait to be told what to do. Also, adults are actively involved in learning process. They are actively involved in learning process. So they can even tell you what they want their teaching to be like. So they are involved, they are actively involved. So that is the adults. That's what they are. So that is 1.44. So also adults are ready to learn. Adults are ready. They are ready to learn. So now let's go to children. 1.46. Children depend on the teacher. Children depend on the teacher. Not like adults who are self-directing. Children, they depend on the teacher. That is that. They expect to have questions answered. They expect to have questions answered. Answered either by teacher or external sources, books and stuff like that. But with adults, you know very well, They want to answer questions from their experience, from their own experience. That is that. Also, children expect to be told what to do. Children expect to be told what to do. That's how they are. Also, children are not involved like adults in their learning process. They are passive learners. They are passive learners. Also, they learn as and when directed. They learn, they don't push themselves. They learn as and when directed. That's children. So this is the end of the presentation, which the total marks are 60 marks. So this is the end of the presentation. Thank you very much for your time. Make sure that you are going to share with others. Make sure that you are going to hit what the subscription button. Thank you very much.